to start with a flip. Welcome back to About Effing Time, the #1 watch podcast in the world.
What?
Featuring a Team Ikazawa t-shirt.
Yes!
In season 1, we stole George's watches. In season 2, you haven't stolen one of his t-shirts yet, but I have.
No, but you've got an About Effing Time t-shirt.
You do. That is effectively George's t-shirt as well, because George designed it. Thank you, George. This is happening. This is happening right now. Season 2.
Yep. Yes, sir.
But I want to know what's happening in your lives.
Boss?
How are you?
So I've got a story. You know, we're watch geeks, and we have experiences, and you want to tell the world, but you know the world doesn't give a shit.
Oh, I know that.
Because it's so geeky, so niche, you just think no one cares. I was at a garden party last week.
Oh, fancy fucker.
And
It's a garden party.
A party in a garden. And these guys were, I didn't know many people there, but these guys were celebrating or congratulating this chap on his retirement. I thought, okay, cool. Let's what are you retiring from? Yeah. I'm a watchmaker.
Oh.
What?
Bing.
Fucking watchmaker?
Your neighbour's a watchmaker.
Pretty much.
Wow.
And I lost my shit. I was like, so many questions to ask you. I like watches, and that's all I could say.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I could think to say to this newfound watchmaker is that I like watches. that's literally all I could think. But we got chatting, and it turned out he was indeed exactly what I thought he was. He was a watchmaker. He used to work in a team. He had an office in Glasgow with a whole team of watchmakers.
Wow.
And the coolest thing, he literally just retired. He emptied his workshop, and that was in his front room. His wife was super pissed because she had Hess-like crystals, all the variants of hairsprings, mainsprings, everything was in the front room.
The ultimate man cave.
The ultimate man cave. And his wife was double pissed. But the cool thing was, he was showing me all the bits that he still had. This is the clock that they use to regulate all of the watches that they're servicing to. And this is an 8-day powers of Zenith.
No.
And this...
Oh my God. So this shows how good Zenith is, because they're regulating everything to this.
To him, this was God. This was...
Wow.
Everything was zero.
The reference.
This was the reference point. And he was obsessed. And it was one of those cool moments where this watchmaker just became serious. It's like, we're not geeking out here.
Yeah.
So I want you to understand that this is a special clock. One of the cool things, that I've not seen this before on a clock like this, but you wind it, rather than having a key and winding it, you wind it by rotating the bezel, and that winds the spring inside, which is pretty... Well, of course, George has one. Jeez.
Honestly, I didn't know how accurate these were, but you have to...
That is gorgeous.
Pull to change the time.
Oh, wow.
And then you wind like this.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Now, that for me is
What is the story of this artifact for you?
I collect random shit on the internet. This is probably one late night on eBay, just going, I need this in my life.
That's dangerous.
And now look what is it?
But I just love that you can do that. I mean, but feel the movement, feel how. But anyway, so I've hijacked your story.
No, you absolutely haven't. You've taken it to a new level. It's just nice to share that story, because I was geeking out with this dude, this proper old chap who just retired, and. To him, he just makes watches. But
can you imagine how much he enjoyed having someone to talk
to talk watches with? But it was lovely just to meet a chap, and it was also cool to see that, like, in my head, I imagine that the regulation point is a little computer somewhere, but to him, this was it. This was bang on accurate.
I didn't know how accurate this was, because honestly, it's just been sitting. So if he has now I'm kind of going, well, we should have that with the watchmakers. I mean, like, that's a cool thing.
Well, I mean, in the chronometry competitions in the early days of watchmaking, Zenith just absolutely dominated. And if you look back through the records, you will see that Zenith were the reference point for many, many years. Now, firstly, wrist check. What have we got on today?
Well, I'm kind of branded up. I know this is staple Tag Heuer, but I'm branded up. I mean,
it's a double drink if you're doing the drinking game, because there's one for there and there's one for there.
Okay. I have got the Rake Revolution Dreamer Carrera. This was after the Skipper Hoya came out from Hodinkee. This was the blue one. And for me, this is it's the Revolution one. You look at the movement, you look at everything, and I just love this. My limited edition number is 13 because I love number 13. If I can't, I buy always number 13. But this is one of those they should have made more.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a beauty. I am wearing, actually, completely by accident, and I'm straight into shot. Screw you both.
Is that the Fratello?
What? This is the first time you've ever done that?
I know. I did it for you, RJ. This is the Oris pointer date with Fratello, as known as the Fratel Oris.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so we're talking about two?
So the media, we did a story on Time and Tide once that was about...
Love the case on that.
Do media make better watches? Like, if we're constantly criticising and saying, oh, if only it had this and if only it had that.
This is putting your money where your mouth is.
And sometimes we do. I think...
Wait. I've got to point out.
By the way, look at the aging on that.
No, but look inside there. That step to step.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. Don't like the hands, but that's me. But
not
everything else, I'm like, and I love that. Is awesome.
Beautiful watch, and I think if you just
the only thing is it hasn't got a bark and jack strap. That's
for all the bronze freaks. Look at the beautiful patina.
Bronze is so cool.
Like we argued a lot about this in season 1.
So, but bronze, like when Panerai brought out the first bronze. Anyway, this I think it really is. It's honey bronze.
So there's 2 media collaborations on the table, unscripted.
All right, that's enough of sucking up to the media.
FOMO.
I'm wearing a Seiko SKX, and this is, although this is a boring as fuck watch, this actually has quite a cool story for me.
Oh, I thought you were about to say it has a cool strap, and I was about to just go.
Oh, the strap is fucking killer.
Yeah.
100% killer strap.
That looks great.
So this watch was my ex-boss's watch. So I'd already handed my notice in at my day job, about to start Bark and Jack full time. A new boss joined the company, and I was talking to him about what I do. If you like watches, well, I've got a watch in my top drawer that I was given by my dad when I was 18 or something. I've worn it every single day. It's pretty fucked up. I don't want it anymore. Do you want it? And he brought it in, and it was an SKX. The whole thing, he stopped wearing it because he went through airport security with this, and the whole movement got magnetized. And it's
dead.
It gains. It was pretty jammed up when I got it, but it gains a huge amount of time, and it's just not a happy movement. But it was his watch, and he loved it. He'd gone BMXing with it. He used to do long distance cycling through South Africa, and it was a cool thing for him to recognise that. Here, have it. This is worth more to you than it is to me. And I just sold an SKX and actually regretted selling an SKX. They're killer watches.
Great.
Absolutely killer watches.
Gentlemen, I'm getting really antsy here because it's about effing time. We talked about Milestone watches.
You what?
Now, I want to set the scene with an image, and I actually thank you both for giving me the perfect segue into this subject. We talk about your garden party friend. He had just retired from a lifetime in watchmaking, and I bet he had a retirement watch of some kind.
He was, interestingly, despite being a watchmaker, he was wearing a System Eco Drive.
That's disappointing.
It is disappointing. Look on quite a lot of watchmakers' wrists. It's like chefs go and have a microwave meal at the end of the day, and you're like going.
For him, this is the ultimate watch. It regulates itself because it's atomic. It doesn't need any servicing.
Fair play. This is not just one more watch.
This has destroyed your plan.
I was hoping for something more there, and again, that shows how unscripted the show is. And the second thing is the watch that you, I would say, took from your boss, and the fact that you took that. Did you feel a little conflicted about taking such a sentimental object from a guy?
I actually did, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I thought, I'm going to enjoy exploring this, because you can get a little device that demagnetizes a watch. It's a very... I haven't done it yet, and I've had this about a year now, 2 years, 3 years. But I will do it.
Yeah.
I will do it.
But the point is, there were 2 milestone watch moments there. There's the retirement watch, and there's the father's watch. So what has occurred to me over the last, 4 or 5 years in particular, I've noticed that there are new milestones and new reasons that people buy watches that are not the traditional reasons.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Like selling businesses or something. Okay. Sorry. Okay. This is your show.
it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a hell of a journey because we're going to go into all of the new reasons that people buy watches that we've noticed. Before we do, we are on this journey because of some very generous and very esteemed partners, sponsors, whatever you want to call them. We have chosen these brands to support us and ask them to, and they have thankfully said yes. We have, of course, 4 Pillars, our drinking sponsor that will... The OG, the master watchmaker, will bring something to us at an opportune moment.
And the journey of Land Rover,
Nice.
the journey of coming here, this is Land Rover. We are so happy to have them as one of our sponsors.
Yep.
And then...
And we've got Bezel, the lovely guys, the US-based watch dealers who you can trust.
Yep, and a winder that is currently still having a little break right behind George there. Thank you, Wolf Winders, for being part of our journey. So let's spell it out, fellas. Let's throw down on the traditional milestones that perhaps our parents, our grandparents would associate with watches. I'll kick off. The communion watch. Do you remember this phenomenon?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And then there's the age milestone, whether that's 16th or 18th or 21st. That was a thing for quite a while. I think that's actually one that exists now in the new column.
Yeah.
And then there's the gold watch for 25 years of service.
Right. Yeah, but now most people don't do 25 years
So I
of
think
service.
we put a cross through that.
So-
the age reason is definitely still around. We get asked a lot about, hey, I need a perfect watch for an 18th or a 21st or a 16th.
Or first day of school, we're like seen proper school,
Is that a one?
Yeah, so I've known loads of people ask me, hey, what my kid needs this for this. For this,
yes.
They're going
It's a
to
special
they're
occasion.
going to like what they call they are matriculating up, and hey, this is and the same for university. Hey, I want them to mark this thing of like the university. So
Yes.
yeah.
Well, what I think's changed with that is, I think it's more common now for the receiver to choose a watch, because
Yes.
watches are so they are so part of pop culture, of fashion, of styling. I'm getting so many messages from people saying, it's my 18th.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn 21 and my parents go, I've got this budget. My mum's going to buy me a watch.
Yeah.
What do you think? As opposed to the parent going off and doing it. I mean, I'd love to buy my kids a watch, but I actually think that's the better way to do it.
And let me just say though,
I'll tell you to fuck off if you're my kid. Sorry, I'm like no, but
so you're the old school. This is the old school way to do it. Was you received the watch?
You're lucky. Someone explained to me that he got an Omega for his 8. This was Seen Through Glass. Sam got given an Omega.
Cool, dude.
And
that was a great episode.
Absolute cool dude. But and he got given an Omega. Now, at the time, I think he said, I wanted a Rolex. Now, he got given the Omega, and he's become an Omega. He loves Omega. He loves the whole thing. Now, for me, that is, shut the hell up. You are lucky to get something.
And I agree and disagree. I prefer, like, if my wife was to buy me a watch, which she won't, but if she were, it's it's unlikely she would buy me a Rolex. That's all I want. But no, my point is that I think if someone's going to receive a gift of that value,
save up enough money and go and buy it yourself.
Yeah, but then that means that the original gift isn't.
Well, I think
worth it.
again, guys,
We're digressing. Sorry.
Let me say, this whole episode is divided into new school, old school. Old school way was you received the watch,
Yes.
and the old school, the other old school milestone was the 25 years at a company, the gold watch. How often does that happen these days?
Doesn't.
It doesn't.
I mean,
so we put
how
so let's
often
go through
people-
it. Communion, I would say broadly not happening anymore.
Yep.
Ones around birthdays, I'd say that's a tick. Gold watch for 25 years, not happening anymore. What about getting your father's watch? Because that was very much a rite of passage.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it happened at a birthday or at your father's passing.
See, I had to buy my grandfather's watch for my father. So I found my grandfather's watch and I gave it to my father. because my
I
grand-
need to hear that story.
So-
This is a digression, but I like it.
So okay, so this is a watch that my grandfather passed away, but his girlfriend at the time, got rid of all of his watches, and I always remember him wearing this watch, and it was knackered to fuck. I mean, really knackered. But I found it. I spent ages finding it, brought it, and then I think on my 30th, I gave it to my father and said, "Do you remember this watch?" And I had a photograph of my grandfather with that watch on his wrist.
Wow.
I said, "Do you?" And he's worn it quite a few times, and it's just one of those things where. So I did the reverse.
Yes.
Because I wanted one of his watches. I wanted it.
Yep.
And then I was just like, what the hell do I give my father?
Yes.
And, so then I searched, I went down a rabbit hole, months and months, finding out who she'd given the watches to, who they'd sold it on to.
You bought the actual
Oh, no. I literally went down the whole path. It even
you-
came in a glasses case that had his name in that glasses case.
Wow.
But I found this watch and I
Okay.
pulled it back. And that's when one of the things where... So, sorry, digressing, but I agree of coming... Do you know, for me, the father's watch reminds me of Pulp Fiction. You
Yes.
know, that I always think this whole scenario of, there's the Patek advert, but I love the Pulp Fiction advert of, he had it in his arse and he, went through. And I love that. I love the whole thing of like, hey, I'm presenting you this watch, and the guy's just like, what? This has been in your arse. And I just think to myself,
I look forward to getting into that in therapy, because that brings in a lot of psychoanalytical themes there. We have anal retentiveness. We have daddy issues.
But that Pulp Fiction idea of, the watch has got it has
journey that it's
has
been
its
on.
own journey,
Yeah.
and that's what I loved about receiving the father's watch is it's had X amount of years of love into it, and I think that is one of the things that I love with what I do in my business is because we do personalization.
Yeah.
So we create something unique for the person, and it is one of those things that it is more or less passed on.
Yep. Hey, if you're liking this conversation, you should subscribe to About Effing Time. That was the least smooth segue ever.
Like and subscribe.
We're dropping it in, because that way you can't see it coming. You don't know what's coming. So look, that was the journey. That was the journey through a life of watches 100 years ago or 50 years ago. Communion watch, birthday watch, 18th, 16th, 21st, whatever. Gold watch for 25 years, and then maybe inheriting your father's watch at some point on that journey. That's the old school. The new school is completely different. And I'm going to I'm going to show an image, if Adrian can make his iPad come to life. This is where we're going with this. This, I propose to you, gentlemen, the new journey of watch milestones. Number one, you might start with a watch you're given, whether that's a smartwatch or something, just a watch you would wear through your childhood. Maybe a block watch, maybe a swatch. Yeah. So that remains, that there's a watch you have in your childhood years that is functional. It's not about status. It's not about watch enthusiasts. It's just about the time. So that remains. But then I think there's now this concept of, I want my first good watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that. I'm going to unpack every one. I think the birthday one remains. Then there's this one here. Now, this is a guy called Robbie Jones, who has a business called Tiny Ass Props. And he makes, in his words,
Wow.
I make tiny ass stuff from pop culture. So he's a model maker who does extraordinary things.
I love this.
But this image sums up, to me, the engagement watch.
Trying to find who makes this, because I can
connect you.
I want him to make some little watches for me, because it would just be fun.
Guess what the next line on his Instagram profile is? No commissions.
No.
So, anyway. No, Robbie, we love you. No, this is the phenomenon of the engagement watch. We're going to unpack these in turn. Then I think it's fair to say that there's this phenomenon of the personal achievement watch. Mm-hmm. The My First Business watch, you mentioned it before, the My First Million watch, whatever your benchmark is.
Sold business type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's that. There's the wedding watch, the his and hers. In addition to the engagement watch, there might also be a scenario where, oh, that's lovely. Look at that.
So that was my engagement watch and wedding watch. So my wife got a ring and I got an Explorer 2.
So you got a what?
I got the best watch around. An Explorer 2. And And at the time, I thought this is a bad watch to wear.
That's you.
But that's me. But an Explorer 2.
nice
You're in a
house.
kilt.
In a kilt. Yeah, I got married in a kilt. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got quite nice hands.
And
as well.
I am actually Scottish.
You had what was in your sporin?
Nothing.
I'm going to ask loads of questions after this, but I think it needs to be our.
I just want to focus on his kilt.
And that was my family's tartan as well. McDonald tartan.
You are Scottish. Why is there confusion about your nationality? Proof is in the.
But that's it, and it was interesting because that wasn't really a conscious thing, but it was. I do want to mark this point of getting my first proper watch, and I did hold on so it could tie in with the wedding, and then it also felt like the right thing to do. I'm giving you a ring. It's like,
Yeah.
why shouldn't there be something in return? Something that I truly want. She truly wanted this ring, and that was a watch that.
Well, I've got some darker days to come because after the engagement watch, which might also, for the lucky ones, include a wedding watch as another milestone, there's now the divorce watch.
Wow.
The rise of the divorce watch. I'm going to get through each of these. We're going to unpack them. There's also the concept of the investment watch. Oh, no. That watch is my investment watch. That goes in the safe. That's the one that I've convinced my partner.
Show ponies.
That, it's a mobile asset class. I can't wear my racehorse on my wrist. I can't wear my my shares. That annoys you. We're going to get to that. I want to spell out a life in watches, new watch milestones, and then lastly, this sounds very doomy, mortality themed, the exit watch. There's a concept of the exit watch that is a new milestone, which is I'm going to reduce my collection of 15 okay watches into one epic watch. So let's go through them one by one.
Cool.
What was your first good watch? We've talked about this, I think. Your Naval time.
Well, yeah, but my first good one was actually, I'm sorry to say, but I think it was the F1 Tag Heuer. That luminous dial. It was the first one that I.
Oh,
think,
you showed it in season.
Yeah, and season one, and I've given my kids the baby version of that, and. That reminds me of my little one. I need to get him one of these. But honestly, that for me is the first good watch where I was just like, oh, okay, I don't have a flick flack anymore. I don't have a swatch anymore. This felt the step up. I'm sorry to interrupt the episode. Oh, you dick.
Adrian, you got something to say?
Bezel. So Bezel have kindly sponsored this episode. I've worked with them in the past on my own channel. But here, Bezel, if you might not be aware of Bezel, they're a new platform over in the US. They are now global through their website shop.getbezel.com. But their big USP is their iOS, their iPhone app, which you can just search for Get Bezel. The thing that is different about Bezel than other watch dealers is there's quite a few points. The big thing is their whole experience. They have a community, they have on-hand watch experts who can advise you on the watches that you want to get. You might have a watch in mind, but you're not too sure if that is the absolute watch you want to get. They can help you out with it.
I've got to point out one thing.
Please.
We did a quick survey of the most popular watches and categories. The most popular watches on Bezel are a Patek Philippe Calatrava, an Omega Speedmaster, and a Rolex Datejust. So if that sounds like the kind of watches you like everybody, then this is the place you need to be.
The other thing is their certification. This is something they even sniff.
They sniff the papers.
They sniff the papers.
You wish they'd sniffed your papers because you needed them in your life.
Look, I've needed them in my life for a while. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode.
One more thing.
Not only are Bezel helping us out by sponsoring us, but they're helping you as well. Use discount code Effing Time 250, all as one word, all as capitals, and they will get you $250 off your first purchase.
Now back to the episode.
Great. My first good watch was the Panerai. We talked about that in episode 1 of season 1, and that was a step up from a Citizen Eco Drive that I was gifted by my parents. Thank you very much, Jenny and Rob McCutcheon, for a titanium Eco Drive for my 21st birthday, which I still have, and which again, when I don't mean to criticise your watchmaker pal in the garden party, because that was my actual first 21st watch, but the Panerai was definitely, for me, a dramatic step up. That was 6 or 7 times the price, and we've talked a lot about that. What was your first good watch, Adrian?
My first good watch, well, I got a watch when I was 16. It was a Kahuna chronograph, which technically is a crap watch, but it felt nice because it had so much weight to it. It had a carbon fiber dial. I've always been obsessed with chronographs. Weirdly quartz chronographs, but I'm not a massive fan of mechanical chronographs. But my first big watch was this Explorer 2.
We're looking at it.
Yeah.
Which does lead on to the phenomenon of the engagement watch. What is going on here? We actually did a story in Time and Tide's Now magazine with a lass called Bryn Wallner, who started Dimepiece. She wrote a story about the rise of the engagement watch. And then as we started to discuss this, you chimed in.
With this watch.
So this was the but you didn't wear it till the wedding, or you didn't get it till the wedding? Because you tell me about this story.
The agreement was, my wife got the ring, and I was gonna get the watch, and I had it, and it was in the box. So I'd wear it around the flat, but I wasn't gonna wear it out until the wedding. But just like, you know, when you're a kid,
you've got an itch. You want to. It's like that. You want the shoes. Like you go to the shoe shop and you're like, I want to wear them.
I remember when I was a kid. I was probably about 9. I really wanted a pool table, and my parents got a pool table. And how do you hide a pool table when it's coming up to Christmas? I found the pool table under the spare bed, and me and my brother would go in. The pool table was under the bed, and we'd play pool under the bed.
So in other words, you played pool with the Explorer.
In other words, I'd accidentally. I forgot to take it off when I left the flat. And it was I'd technically ruined it, but I also just enjoyed it. So the plan was for it to be an engagement watch that wasn't to be worn until the day, but I couldn't hold out that long. Story of my life.
Have you heard of such a thing, George? The engagement watch?
Yeah, we've made quite a few.
We
made quite a few because what happens is people want personalisation, so they have his and hers. Sometimes their initials intertwined, or they have something that's their thing of their logo. So we put that down at the bottom of the dial, and then sometimes on the date wheel, it either will change.
That is cool.
That's a cool idea.
But we've created some amazing pieces, but we've done. I mean, I was just trying to think.
So you would love that brief.
You
would love that brief and make something that's both of us.
Do you know there was? So we did a GMT recently, and the guy did it. So it was a Bamford GMT, and actually he gave his best men. There was only 3 best men. He gave them with their logo on.
Oh my god!
With the two guys.
The crest.
But it wasn't the crest. It was their initials intertwined. That was beautiful. And then the date. They'd actually, because it was a blue and white design, on the date, it was a blue heart just on that date. And I said,
I love that.
So for me,
I've not thought of that before.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what I. So, but we've done it. We've done it on tags. We've done it on Zenith. We've done it on all the watch brands we work with. We've done it on them. I mean, we've even got. I think it's just gone out, but we had a Frank Muller that was exactly the same. It was an engagement present.
That's cool.
And someone has done this engagement. So I understand this. But what's amazing is normally the wife goes, or the wife-to-be comes in here and sits in here, and she goes, he's been geeking out on your Instagram. And I'm like, oh, really? Who? Tell me. She goes, well, we're getting married, and this is what we're doing, and blah, blah. And so what happens is we come down to X amount of designs. We sit here for an hour and a half, and we just go through the personalisation process.
To be clear,
what's your favourite colours? What's his favourite colours?
Yeah.
He loves this material, like you. Kilt. So this is our tartan. He wants a strap made out of that. We'll do that. Everything bespoke to that, and then
make it smell like haggis.
Well, no, but what I love is then when
it's a good smell.
So what I love is that then I get a message through Instagram. I'm on honeymoon. This fucking watch is amazing, and that for me,
so cool.
and what's amazing is. And the times that it's happened, they were given the night before. So he goes, oh my God, the watch is amazing. And it's all tuned up right. Yeah. And then either it's a roulette, but it's only on that colour, we change the colour, or it's a heart, or it's something else, and it just pops up. And so he's like, and it's that thing of thinking of you. Then it's hand engraved on the back. It's all those different things of everything is a personal note on the back. Even in the box, it's got a few of these cards, but it's actually got, something that says, here's a handwritten note. And it's always, and the whole thing, you talk about goosebumps.
This is a whole body thing. My legs were going.
This is the thing about, and so so all of these things we deal with people in these points. This is you could have written an episode better for me. I could promote Bamford Watch Department and Bamford London on all of these because every single thing.
Yeah.
The big investment into,
Yeah.
I've just brought a boat. I want everyone to have their, a logo of the ship on the bottom. I want this. I've gone through all of this.
You know, Adrian, we're quite onto each other's shilling, and it's sort of like a bear trap. Just close them. You're shilling. You're promoting him. I'm letting this roll.
Oh no!
This is the best.
I don't know why I've not thought of highlighting that date within the watch. That is the perfect.
But
Having a love heart on that day.
do you know
Amazing.
that you're fucked as well? Because the thing is, you highlight that date, and then it's every month.
But every month you're reminded.
Yeah,
though.
no, every month you're reminded. But honestly, my wife did it on a Monaco for me for our anniversary. And it was really, really nice. But the thing is, because I change watch a lot, I'm like, fuck!
I forgot again. Hey, you know what? Can we have a first name of that chap that did the heart on the date that you were talking about? Can I just have a first name? Because I'm about to do something. Okay.
Harry.
Harry, I'd like to propose a toast to Harry. So, Naked Watchmaker. Oh, stop it. The Master Watchmaker. Please give us a drink to do that. By the way, there is a Naked... Whoa. Naked
Whoa,
Watchmaker.
we're getting. Is this James Bond?
Look at that watch proudly displayed now. This is becoming a real
I love this
flex.
G-Shock. Look at that. I've never seen
That is
this.
like a stormtrooper.
What is that?
Thank you very much, Master Watchmaker.
I'll nick that one. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have the envelope. We know what happens next.
I love how
I think
very
it's
much.
Master Drinks Maker as well.
fresh it smells.
I think this is our Navy strength.
Oh, no,
gin
this
50.
is-
this is going to mess us up.
This is a bad boy.
Well, this question is a bad boy as well. So we have this is called the gimlet. The great thing about the gimlet is that it's delicious and has enough lime cordial in it to stop you getting scurvy. Because those sailors didn't get much fruit. What's the best naval or nautically themed watch out there? Please try to keep it to one-word answers, or at least one watch.
Best.
I think the Hoya Regatta Timer.
Okay, I'm 100% the Breguet Marine.
Gonna have to go with. I'm just gonna have to hold it.
Is this for Matt? I think this is for Matt, right?
The
'Cause that
CWC
question kills.
CWC diver, because it's still being issued to the SBS divers, and I think within all of military watches, there are very few that are still being issued, and this is one of the ones that's still being issued.
It wasn't one word, but it was I'll give it a pass. Cheers, gents. Cheers, Harry, you romantic man. And cheers, Matt Jones, for yet more good questions. Let's have a little sip on this.
That is fresh.
That's punchy, though.
It is punchy.
That
Good morning.
Wow, and there's, as you can see, this is made with the sediment of the lime in there, and there's lime cordial, so you've got that real punchy lime flavour with the like almost double strength gin. This is leaving no hairs on my chest, and the problem is my microphone keeps scratching on my hairs, I'm told. So if I drink enough of this, it's going to put extra ones on.
Good stuff. Thanks for
Thanks, thank you, Master Watchmaker.
And whilst we're talking about our sponsors, so another sponsor of ours is Bezel. They also have a story about a wedding watch.
Ooh.
So one of their
Wow,
customers
perfect timing.
bought a coral red Rolex Oyster Perpetual.
Recently.
Coral red because his wife's Chinese and red is a lucky colour in Chinese. Nice. And what he did was he double wristed. So he had his wedding watch, and on his other wrist he had the coral red Oyster Perpetual. Wife was a bit okay, fine. You
like watches, but
yeah, you like watches.
Am I marrying Diego Maradona?
And during the first dance, he unhooked the Oyster Perpetual and gave it to his wife. And if you think after the first dance, that's when the wedding starts to chill out.
Yeah, I always
And that's when things start to become loose. You undo your tie.
Yeah.
So she could rock this coral red Oyster Perpetual with a wedding dress, and that was his thing. That's what she wanted, and he managed to do that. So I think that's a pretty.
We're giving people a lot of good ideas here.
But this was completely unrelated. This was a story they just told me, and it taps in perfectly to what
This
you're
new
proving is
school.
that this is a new thing. It's
Yeah.
like the watches are another element of obviously jewelry, but this is becoming a thing.
And I think that, if we can, without digging too deeply into the sort of the macro trends of the way that society is evolving, But we certainly are seeing the rise of equality in gender relations, equality right down to the fact that, well, if I give you a ring, you're not property of mine, you're not a chattel. I'm not going to, because that was I believe that was the original intention of these things. It was to mark the woman as betrothed, as taken.
Right.
So this whole concept is antiquated beyond belief. So I think that's potentially behind this, well, if I give you that, it's also good for the guy. To be fair, it's like, well, what do I get? How do I mark the fact that, I mean, giving a guy a good watch is hardly a way to mark him as taken, because, but still, I just think it's a really interesting trend. But certainly, and again, that reflects what resonates there is that even in at the wedding, they're both giving each other rings, I'm sure. The watch is given as well. In addition to that,
I like this.
I thought the timing was perfect.
But I love that Bezel knows their customers.
Yes,
that's the clever thing is
Yeah.
that they know their customer. They know. The only thing is on that story, I'd be totally screwed because my wife's wrist is smaller than mine. So if I had 2 watches on my wrist, I'd be like, oh fuck, I've got to take the tools out, get it smaller, and then I'll put it on.
Wait, don't worry,
I'll change it over for you. So that's my only thing. Going through my head when I was hearing the story, I was like, I was panicking of going, oh my God.
How does that work?
I'm going to openly say, I mean, episode 1, season 1, I talked about it. I think I made $80,000, and everyone was like, 80 grand, that's a lot, man. Like, you can't tell us you were on like a pauper's wage. That was Australian dollars, which I think is about, £15,000 by my current calculation.
Not at the moment. Not when we film this.
Well, we're falling with you, unfortunately. The Commonwealth sticks together as our currencies decline. But no, I did buy that Panerai. My first good watch was commensurate with, I had been a salaried worker, and then I broke out, started a company called Story Matters Most that did custom publishing. I did a couple of cookbooks for Chin Chin restaurant in Melbourne, Australia, which is one of the greatest Thai restaurants in the world, like a modern Thai restaurant. I had a great time. And I actually achieved this benchmark and I bought myself a watch. Have you guys ever done the same? Have you ever set a benchmark saying, you know what, when I can see root beers reflected in your eyes. Have you ever set yourself a benchmark and said, when I achieve that for Bamford Watch Department, I'm going to treat myself?
Yes.
And what was that?
I would explain that there's been a few benchmarks, there's a few things that I've done.
Can you share them?
One of them was the Panerai, the vintage Panerai. When I found that, that was kind of me umming and ahhing, and it was, I had to prove that I could be worth, it was worth buying it, so I brought it. I think that's one of those kind of success things, because I go straight to Panerai, but there is others. There's other watches that I could say, this point I've done this.
And you can't share the points because I'm telling you, man, you don't have to say your number, but I had a number in mind.
It's not about value. It's more about we've done this.
Or the team's grown. Or we've got a building.
So the thing is that I've done it a few times where we've kind of gone, okay, like to the point where the G-Shock. We launched the G-Shock, and I brought out of my money, I brought everyone in my team a G-Shock. And for me, that was marking that point. It's like, we are as a team, we're going there. And so the day before it launched, I brought from G-Shock, and this was on my dime, not on the business's dime. I brought it for everyone, and that was marking that point. So for me, I know it doesn't matter about value.
You gave it as an achievement, but a team achievement.
It was achievement together.
Yeah.
So when I look on their wrists, and quite a lot of the time the watchmakers will wear it, it's the great thing, or some of my team will wear it, and I'm like, that's what, and it's that great memory.
Actually, that does raise the collective horology model.
Yeah.
It raises the fact that Facebook and Google have bought their team Tudor Black Bay 58s in small sizes of say 50 models that have the Google logo hidden on it and so on. So there are, I think that's another type of watch I didn't have here, which is the somewhat of the team building watch or the team achievement.
It's
watch.
a thank you as a team, that's
it's got it's a thank you. It's sort of the new company watch.
But we've done look on each of these things. We've done them. So this is what I'm saying is we've done them for different people, and that's the thing. I mean, there was
You've done team watches too.
Yeah, we've done team watches. So there'll be X amount for a team, and we've just done Stephen, so I can mention a few people. Stephen's just done a set of Mayfair Sports, and they're different colours, but they've got their logo on the front, and so he's just gone boom, 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 and that for me is team building. They've achieved a certain element. So why I'm saying to you about the achievement for me, it's not. I think it's because I'm a team. We rise together.
So I'm not a team. But I've always wanted to have a team watch, and I've bought 2 watches this year that mark something. I made some content that I've always dreamt of making, and that was going to the ice caves.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that in Zermatt, where we were, had a swatch boutique. And the 3 of us who were involved in building that content, we all went off and we bought a moon swatch each. 1, because we wanted them, but 2, that moon
Mark
swatch,
the moment.
it is a moon swatch. It's a sexy watch, but that actually has a meaning for me, is that this was to mark the occasion of we did it. We got to this point of, it was a hugely expensive, hugely painful content to make, because it was a lot went into it. Probably about 6 months of prep went into it. But also, I bought a watch which I haven't shared on Instagram, on any social media, because I know. I don't care what people think of it. I don't care what people think of me buying it. There's nothing to it apart from I'm not going to get emotional.
Okay.
That was it. I brought myself a gold Rolex. That was
Wow.
Yeah. It's only a 2-tone, but the whole concept was. It was a fuck you. It was a fuck you to lots of things. And it felt good getting it.
Yeah, but
Oh, guys, sorry. Shit.
No. I don't know
It
what any of
represents a
that's
lot.
about, but it runs deep. I've never seen a sadder person to get a root beer, maybe on the planet.
But that was the second one.
And it obviously means a fuck ton to you.
No, it does, yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Deep.
the reasons can just be personal, and
Exactly.
it's I don't usually on this show. I think when we go into areas and we get vague and get opaque, one of us pulls the other up and says, "I want to know more. Come on, tell me more." But in this case, I think I feel everything I need to know about that.
But I think that's the most amazing thing with these watches, is they can embody something.
Just for
Yeah,
you,
They
just
can
for
embody.
you.
And it is just for you. And
You go through your own path of and it does embody. You kind of go, oh my God, this has embodied something that's. F you what?
yes! But that absolutely is.
It's a thing.
I guess it taps
that
in-
would be my Lang & Son or something like that. But yeah, no, there is.
Yeah.
But the thing,
Wow.
no, I've actually got an FU watch, and actually, when I used to talk about a certain watch, that was
Yeah.
the Zenith Defy Lab.
Yes,
because
the
that was
oscillating
my signing the contract with Zenith and starting my relationship with Zenith. I bought that watch,
Nice.
and I was like, boom, get that through.
Let's go to the phenomenon of the divorce watch. Now, I have checked with someone in my team who has
Is remaining nameless?
himself a divorce watch.
Oh, I've never heard.
But it's not just.
Oh shit! Yeah.
But let's let him speak.
Yeah, all right.
So Matt from my team, who is prepared to be named, at least his first name, I have not listened to this. It is unplayed on my phone. He sent me glorious pictures of his divorce watch.
Oh,
Oh fuck me! That's a real.
what
That's a serious divorce watch. So
This is the Vacheron Constantin dual time overseas in the sexiest colorway of
good man.
any variation. So this is the
so
way.
it wasn't the
there
toughest.
Oh my gosh! Look, we took this photo in the Time Todd studio. Oh my goodness me.
Gorgeous.
Yes. So I just turned my phone off airplane mode. Thank you, Christian Hagen. So let's hear from Matt about his story of why he bought a divorce watch.
So getting divorced, something which I wasn't planning on doing, definitely caught me by surprise a bit. Wasn't on the menu, but as you're doing these sort of things, everyone sort of tells you not to make any rash decisions or big life purchases, which is all well and good. But when you're sort of grappling with everything and you walk past Vacheron Constantin Boutique and the watch of your dreams is staring at you in the face, sometimes you just say fuck it and you go pull the trigger. So that's how I ended up with my Vacheron dual time Grail watch / divorce watch, which set me down a bit of a slope. Turns out it wasn't the watch for me. I did settle on a few different divorce watches, but ended up finding one which definitely stuck, which would be the IWC Ingenieur 323904, which I am going to bet will be with me a lot longer than I was married.
Oh, zing. Let's get a picture of that. We don't.
So
here it is. So this is the watch Matt settled on, and something he
See,
That is.
Engineer, it's kind of one of those
white dial.
white dial. It is. I mean,
That
like,
is a
look at that.
beauty.
And the engineer is just, I'm obsessed with this watch. This
Yeah.
is awesome. I could say to you, I've done a divorce watch. I've done one or two of them, but I've never heard it like that. I never, because I never realised, that someone came in and said, "Hey, I'm getting a divorce," and I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but I want to buy a watch." And I was like, "Okay."
It's sort of new year, new me type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could hear in his voice. Yeah. It was definitely a fuck you moment.
Yeah.
I'm in this position, and I can make it.
Yeah.
Slightly better, even if it's in a materialistic way. There's still passion in what he's doing, and as a choice, the Vacheron killer choice, IWC even more of a killer choice.
Yeah, because it's almost like that first divorce watch was a, buy like there's no tomorrow. But then there is a tomorrow and a next day.
It's
and
kind of going out, suddenly having a
divorces-
one-night stand, and then realize I should probably get something a bit more long-term, and then it's gone for the long-term.
But to some degree, I think that's been, all of us have brought COVID watches. I think it's that idea of no tomorrow.
No tomorrow. That's
what you just
interesting.
said that instantly made me think that's a no tomorrow thing. That's we were like, life is too short. Let's travel. As soon as we can travel, let's travel.
And I think if I can briefly, my wife is a psychologist, so I shouldn't step on her turf. And if she was here, she'd slap me. But if I can briefly psychologize this, it is that marriage is a commitment to be together forever. And it requires enormous sacrifice. And I have 3 children under the age of 9, and there is so little of me left sometimes from running a business with a big team. And then you get home and you're giving even more. And I think I was surprised at how much of a sacrifice marriage and parenthood is. And I think in that moment where that falls apart, you just put yourself first, perhaps for the first time in a very long time, and you do something irresponsible that, as a parent or as you're still a parent, and Matt is still a parent, but to me that seems like that's evident in that journey because
But suddenly you've got control.
Yes, you've got control, and suddenly you can put yourself first again. And if you look through Matt's journey of watches, because he does actually include here. So the next one was a Pepsi.
Good.
The next one after that was one you loved very much.
Good man.
Explorer 2. So this is
we're buddies.
Look at that loom. That's fantastic. And then the last one is, of course, this. So if I can briefly psychologize, it is that when you first are now swinging for yourself again, and you have yourself to look after and yourself to support, and obviously any children you have, but for the first time, you are actually number one again. And that again, I'm not going to say that feels good, but Matt certainly felt, I think, that's reflected
Somewhat
in that
impact. There's also an element of when you get divorced, pretty much everything's halved. And so that means you need to sell your watch collection. So you're kind of given a reset.
Yes.
So this is my watch collection. Half the
really good
value,
point. Really
you
good
take
point.
that value. This is now, I've now liquidated my entire watch collection. Where do I go? And you're not going to go back because you've done that. So where do I go from here? And so it's not a positive position to be in, but it's an interesting position as a watch collector.
You're right. It forces you into a state of liquidity.
Yeah, exactly.
We have gone deep. Let's go really shallow because some of these topics I don't want to go deeply into, but they exist. There is the concept of the Grail watch. Can we quickly explain that? It's so nonsense, by the way.
It is. Yes, I agree. It is nonsense because it's just the big watch ultimately
for that week.
Exactly. The Grail watch is supposed to be the watch. The one watch you dream of that you might not get, but ultimately it is the watch that's supposed to complete your collection.
You never complete your collection.
Exactly. I believe it's just a milestone, or rather a stepping stone that's so far away from where you are right now that it feels like a Grail. But if you get to that point, this is going to be another one.
But that's why I said to you I have a price bracket, because then I can never, there's Grail watches that I want to go up to, but I can never get it. And it's not about affording it. It's more set yourself a limit and say, I can enjoy it at that price.
Yeah.
Never, anyway.
And look, I think the stupidity of the Grail watch is that in the same way that we talk about influencers that buy a new watch, get likes for it, a diminishing number of likes for it each time it goes up to a point where they then have to buy another one to re-spark the novelty. So in our watch media bullshit, we're like, what's your Grail watch? And then I say it 3 times in 3 interviews on 3 different media platforms, and then I'm like, well, I better change it because that's already out there, and it's got diminishing shock value. So there's lots of reasons why it's nonsense. Forget that. What about the investment watch? This is something that definitely cropped up. You mentioned COVID before. This is a new concept of buying a watch for an investment, as opposed to a racehorse or some shares.
I don't think it's a new concept, because you look at artwork and things like that. There's always been this thing of investment, and people, if you think early 90s investment watches really came to their forefront.
I think the new part is how wide this is, how common it is.
Well, watches have become a mobile asset class.
But the other thing, yes, it is a mobile asset class, and that's something.
New.
No, but not new. Before this, I know. I was talking to a pilot. I was actually at an airport lounge of all things, and I was talking to this pilot, and he was a private air pilot, and he said to me, this was before Ukraine and all the things. He was working for a Russian person. He had to kind of help him move stuff. And it's a movable wealth.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like diamonds back in the old days, that people used to move out of Germany and go to America, and they filled a jacket full of diamonds.
Yeah.
That was how they moved their wealth. Watches, art, but if you think about watches is a movable wealth.
Yeah.
And now I'm not telling people how to cheat.
And
systems.
also, in a world of sliding currencies, as I keep referring to the Australian dollar looking at it decline every single day, I kind of wish I'd actually had all my currency in Rolex, because Rolex doesn't move at anywhere near the pace of currency.
But the thing is, yes and no. I think that's where, be happy with what you've got.
Yeah.
I know, we talk about COVID buying, and I've talked about season 1. I looked at watches and cars, and I was just like, hey, look, I'm going to exit out of everything. Does this bring me joy in my life? Because the first couple of weeks of COVID, we didn't see the massive jump up in prices of watches. We didn't see anything. We didn't see Tesla's shares going through the roof. We didn't know. So what I looked at is, all of this is worth nothing. Does it bring me joy? If it doesn't, get rid of it.
Marie Kondo theory.
Yeah, but that's where I think to myself is, even like every time that you're coming to sell something, you never get what you think it's worth. It hasn't got box papers and a swing tag and it hasn't been touched by such and such. It's one of those things that you never get what you think it's worth. You always think it's worth X. It's kind of half of X, because someone will go, because they need to make their margin. Yeah. So for me, that's where I don't think about this as investment, because my advice to anyone on investment watches is, wear and enjoy it, because that's why you've brought it. Love the watch. And
I think your bigger point there is that
there
can be a perception from the outside that that this is a mug. This is an easy game. You buy in, and then the watches appreciate you sell them. What you're saying, that's so true. Every time I'm ever in a position to sell a watch, I'm like, that's all.
Yeah.
But Chrono 24.
Yeah.
But myths and legends and lies that people tell at get-togethers
people
about
not understanding the system, thinking that they'll see on Chrono 24 this watch or a bezel.
Like my Zenith for $114,000, absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
So, no, the investment watch, I think, does exist. The concept does exist, but I think perhaps people are really going to get stung by that.
If you see now, Look at all those stats.
If you bought high, you're in big trouble.
Big trouble now. You think of all the memes that are coming out at the moment, all the things about, buy low, sell high. I remember the first time. This was me as younger. My father wanted to teach me about shares and stocks and shares because he thought it was a very good lesson of saying, hey, this is stocks and shares. So he said, okay, you've got £10. What share would you put on? And I said, I'll put it on this. And I said, the secret of this is buy low and sell high. And he went, yeah, it'd be great in life, wouldn't it? But he said it doesn't work out like that.
At what point is it low? At what point is it high? You can only see that in the past.
And that's the thing is, I always go back to Warren Buffett. And, if you think about shares and things like that, he holds on to things for such a long period of time. Yeah. He holds these shares because he sees longevity.
The cycles.
You see some of these Grail watches. Don't think of making your money back in 5 years. Make it back in 20 years.
Yeah.
That's where look at wine. People put wine down as long-term investment. Sorry, this is my whole perception of this whole scenario.
So you would say to someone who's saying, I'm buying this as an investment watch, you would have a good little counselling session for them. The last one is perhaps the most obscure of all, which is this concept of the exit watch that started to emerge. And again, at Time and Tide, we like to try to comment on trends and discussions, and we did do a story about this trend of the exit watch, which is the idea that somehow as a person that's completely addicted to watches, there'll be a point where you can sell your entire collection for one watch that does it all. Have you guys seen the emergence of this phenomenon?
Again, I don't believe it. I think it's more of just a maturity in the collection of. I don't think there will ever be an exit watch. I think there's just a watch that you buy and then you're done.
Would you sell all your Rolexes for a Vacheron Constantin 1921?
No, and I nearly did.
Wow.
So no, I really nearly did. But it kind of comes back to George's mindset of he has a limit, and I feel like I've played around with fuck tons of watches, and I feel like my sweet spot is 10 and under. I kind of feel like that's I want to put my watches on and wear them, although my root beer is 11 or 12. But I wear my watches, and if I bought something like anything from Vacheron, I'd be concerned about it, and I don't want to be concerned. I want to wear it, feel nice. And
there's a line in Did you guys know the band Crowded House?
Yes.
They have a song called "Don't Dream It's Over," and this is the line that resonates through my head when I think of people with really expensive objects on them. My possessions are causing me suspicion, but there's no proof. It's a line in the song, and it's that feeling of this thing is wearing me, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's a horrible feeling because it's like, what is the point?
Yeah.
Why did I aspire to this Grail watch, this exit watch, if I put it on now? And I'm more conscious of knocking it on the table edge than I am of what you're telling me and saying to me, darling wife, in a beautiful romantic moment. I'm sitting there going, shit, I hope this glass table doesn't give the underside of my deploy a scratch.
Or I can't go swimming in this, or I can't do it.
Yes,
but and I know that this is the roundup of the whole thing, but I looked at exiting most of my watches because I wanted to buy one of those Rafa Nadal, so I wanted to everything down. I thought I wanted to jump up. I wanted to kind of
flex.
I wanted to own one. I wanted to.
You like that watch, don't you? You mentioned it.
No, because I think it's luxury. I think it was the pure sense of luxury. Now maybe not, but at the time, and I wanted to exit everything. I thought, this is my collection. This is where it's gone. What's happened? So it's not an exit. It was just I want a fresh start. And I looked at it and I went, I can't because I like that. Oh, I want this.
Yeah.
My wife likes that. This, and I made every excuse.
All your liquidity's gone.
No, but it's also we've just talked about memories.
Yes.
Each thing had a memory that I was just like, I can't get rid of that.
Yeah.
My kid was born and I wore that.
Exactly.
You know, and it was
and you got it for a reason.
Yeah.
That reason hasn't suddenly disappeared.
And so that's the problem with exit is then it's
with it you sell the memories.
But also you're selling the memories and you're selling the idea for something that would give me satisfaction for a very short period of time.
Yeah. Now, the journey of an About Effing Time episode is as much of a mystery to us as it is to you because we don't pre-talk these episodes. We don't decide what's going to happen. These notes are written as we go. So we've ended up in an interesting place, which is talking about our personal stories about watches that we bought that mean something to us, that are personal milestones, and they don't necessarily fit that old school matrix of this, and this. What about you? What have you bought that meant something to you? Was there a watch that was a defiant watch about anything that you've stood against? Was there a watch that was the most joyous moment of your life, that where you did something creative with that watch, or it just meant something to you? We really want to know about these. We have gone to places that we didn't expect and learned things about each other. We'd love to learn about you. A favourite thing about Monday morning is the comments that come on the episode from the day before. The Monday after this episode, I guarantee you, and we promise you, do we promise you together, we will be in the comments. We will be there to go on your journey with you, because holy moly, the sharing that goes on in that section is what makes us, it's what's made us come back for season 2. So let's go into it. Like and subscribe. Thanks to Bezel, thanks to Wolf, thanks to Land Rover, and thanks to 4 Pillars, the sponsors that allow us to do this with you time and time again and learn something new every single time. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon.
See you later.